What's going on, guys? SeeJay here. In today's video, I wanted to do a little bit of like a deep dive into my account, what I'm sort of doing while we're in a little bit of this lull over the last few weeks with any major updates, and then kind of how my account's progressed in the raids over the last couple of weeks too, since I've been tracking it. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, guys. So I figured in today's video to kind of keep it short and sweet, just kind of talk about my account. I think we did this about a month ago. It's one of my first videos I made, and it was right around Christmas Eve, so we're about a month out since my last one. So just sort of looking at what I'm working on, what characters, what teams I'm hoping to build, kind of take a peek at my raid scores, and then you know, like I said, just kind of keep it simple. So if you're interested in kind of seeing what I've been working on and where my count has gone over the last couple of weeks, you know, that's what we're going to look at today. So what have I been working on, and what is the advantage as a free-to-play player or low spender? Well, the big thing is you're not really going after anything specific or nothing that you don't know about. So you kind of can just work on what you've been working on for the last month or two, right? So we all know goblins is probably the primary thing you should be focusing on. It's always going to be goblins and elves, because you probably want the legendaries that exist in the game, which right now we only have two, right? So it's going to be your Lord Elrond and it's going to be your Thorin. And so my Lord Elrond is already 5-star. I got him on the second wave because I wasn't in the game for the first wave. I probably wouldn't have got him on the first wave anyways, because he was kind of released in the first month or two of the game. And really, if you wanted to get Lord Elrond and have a team of 5-star elves, you probably had to spend quite a bit of money to get to that point in the game, because I don't even, like, you would have got Arwen and Elwyn and Marquis, etc., right? So I probably would have been in the same boat I am now with Thorin, which is like kind of working towards the legendary the second go around. And that's totally fine. Like, I don't mind if I happen to get lucky and I decide to build out a squad. If somebody out there was a free-to-play player and they were a goblin fan, and somehow, which Great Goblin's never been farmable in this game, so I'm not quite sure how many of those really exist out there. But again, you should be prioritizing goblins as one of your farmable teams if you want to get the dwarves, because dwarves are probably like a top 3, top 5 squad in the game. But again, I've been working on the goblins. I would love to get to 6-star. I don't think it's possible to get to 7 before he comes back around, so I'm not going to probably waste my resources in going past 6. I might not even go past 5, just because I wouldn't mind moving on to another potential squad like the Dunlin or something, just to kind of like semi-prepare for something that might come in the future. And given Dunlin's one of the only squads in the game remaining that doesn't have a full team, and they only have the 3, makes you kind of think that they could add something to the Dunlin and then add some kind of requirement behind the Dunlin to get the next legendary. So I'm like, do I kind of get started on that? So maybe I could get a 5-star legendary on launch instead of waiting until the second go around. So that's a little bit of my thoughts. But again, we'll see. Depends on resources, depend on what they end up doing in terms of the next farmable characters. We'll kind of talk about that in a sec. But you can see Chef Kraska, we just kind of dinged 4-star at 15. So we got a ways to go to get to 5 on him. Just kind of farming him once a day, nothing special. Orphers, again, we're right there, right around with Chef Kraska, right? Like we're roughly going to kind of ding 5-star with both characters around the same time. Great Goblin, I'm pretty sure I got most of these shards when he was sort of like one of those freebies. Was it last month or the month prior? So I mean, we're still what, about 80 shards out from being 5-star Great Goblin. I'm really hoping that he swaps over. I think he'd be like a perfect character to go like guild node chapter 5, right? Because we don't have one there, and I'm just like praying that we get a guild character node farmable on chapter 5, because there's like sort of that risk reward or feels good feel bad moment when I'm considering how to utilize my guild currency, like my guild energy. And it sucks knowing I have so many more characters left on the guild farming list to even just get to 5-star, let alone maxing him to 6 or 7-star. So it kind of feels like I need the rare ability mats, but I hate farming, and I need character XP and gold and everything else, right? But I hate farming chapter 5 knowing that it's my best bang for my buck in terms of all the other economy resources you need in the game, but it's a complete miss on using that energy towards characters that still exist on nodes that I haven't farmed yet. So, you know, it sucks. So if he became like a chapter 5 node, like he'd be perfect to just kind of like rip through, because I'm going to get him to 7-star. So there's value on the character, and then I'm getting all the other good value of chapter 5 farming, right? So like, I'd really love to see him or somebody go to chapter 5 at this point in the game, just so I don't feel as bad about spending the guild currency on chapter 5. But he's still about 80 away. Goldberg's is pen away. I could probably get him done today with 2.5 or 110 arena shop. So really he could be 5-star today. He's kind of easy to keep farming and getting to 6, but that's another store that I could see them adding another character to. So I kind of think I get him to 5 and then maybe start just spamming out the rest of Legolas's grind. And then from Legolas, wait and see what we hear. Probably, I would literally not expect nothing from CG next week. It's just at this point in time, like they've got to say something with like it's over a month at that point. So I would expect some update. I would expect definitely characters move to farmable nodes, and I would just be curious where they end up. But again, if one of the characters like Rumil or Orphan end up into the arena shop, then they're probably a character I'm going to start farming along with Legolas. So I'd probably split the currency, whereas when I hit 5-star Goldbergs, I'll probably just start farming Legolas until we get an update and characters are added to the arena shop. But I would expect arena shop to be probably a shop we see something added. And then Grimpa, he's an easy farm, right? He is literally a guild farm. I think I had him at like 3-star like just a few days ago, but because I've been doing some guild energy refreshes, we already got him at 5. I was contemplating kind of taking him to 6 or even just blasting him to 7. But again, dwarves is really the team that I'm focused on. So I actually swapped gears, stopped farming Grimpa because he dinged 5. He actually hit 5 today, and I added Gimli. So it was, again, the fine line of like, do I just now focus primarily only on chapter 5 farming for resources, or do I just work on Gimli? And Gimli was kind of my pick because I really like Gimli, Fellowship, like just kind of preparing for that, especially with Legolas about to be 7-star, etc. So if we're looking at my account, you can see that the characters I'm currently farming are going to be Eladin and Arwen, because Rivendell I want 7-star outside of Lomian. Lomian is currently, I believe, 5 or 6-star. I don't actually remember. Where you at, Lomian? 6-star. I could take him to 7 at some point in time. I'm just not really interested in taking him too much farther because I don't use him all that often. So I think from a resource perspective, to spend 300 energy, 300 character shards required, which is like 2.5-3 month grind without refreshing nodes. I think I'm just going to pass on that for now. So Eladin and Arwen are the 2 farms that I'm doing daily. No refreshes at this point, but I'm getting kind of worried that we're still 400 shards away, which if you say you get about 4 a day, I'm about 3 months away. 3 months means we're pushing into late April that I get them at 7-star. So I might have to start considering a refresh on these characters in order to be prepared for Elrond's return, because I do think he'll be somewhere probably in like the end of March to end of April window. So we're gonna be damn close. They probably will have some packs and stuff you could buy for these characters. So if I'm really close and I'm like 50 away on both of them, it's probably worth considering, since I can get a 7-star Elrond, and that's huge for anybody's account. And I should have Legolas no problem at that point in time, because Legolas is, he's not too far away from, let me actually do elves, right? So we already got Elrond here, 7-star max. He's my first character that I maxed out level and G8'd. I also just G8'd Eladin, and I'm probably going to G8 Elrond as my 3rd G8. I just don't have all the gear mats yet to do so. I think I got like 3 out of 6, so we're a little bit behind there, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I need, and then Naramari, who I just have to promote and I haven't done yet. So that would be my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters for 7 for Elrond. And then when Rumil and Orphan again become farmable, Rumil is a character that I really like. I want him for PvP. He has regeneration, which I love that kind of ability, because if you've ever fought against like Gimli in arena, he's pretty frustrating because not only does he provoke, but he also does the regeneration if he's like fully built out. And it feels like he's just like, because he's taking the attacks but taking so little damage, and he's constant regeneration like most of his team, like everyone's just like never takes damage, it feels like. And Rumil has a regeneration piece too, so he's kind of like a cool non-taunter, but like does good damage, has good utility, and does like semi heal for your team. So I'm thinking Rumil would be like a pretty cool character for arena. Bomber as well, but Bomber we're still probably 2 months out before we see him as a farmable character, so gotta wait on them. But you can see Rumil and Orphan, I truly believed in on launch, hence why I did spend the $20 on these 2 characters, and I did spend the $20 on Bomber and Bilbo as well. So the only 4 characters that I've ever spent money on in this game for marquees are those 4. Never spent on any of the other characters. Anyways, so again, Rivendell is a big focus of mine, trying to pump them all to 60, which right now we get Elrond, we got Eladin, working on Arwen next. Oh, and Elrond here. So pretty much my Rivendell team is coming along pretty nicely. You can see I had Lelio to 5-star because when he came around the last go a few months ago, I didn't have the ability to get, I believe, Eladin and Arwen quite yet. to 5-star because I didn't have a strong enough roster to be able to actually get to that node and 3-star it. So I had to pump up Leliel in the interim. I think I already had Legolas at 5. I had Lomia at 5. I had Narameri at 5. Elrond at 5. And I had one other character I had to have, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, those are the 5. So Elrond, Narameri, Lomia, and Legolas. And Leliel were how I got 5-star Elrond the first go. And now I'll be able to easily get 6-star Elrond, obviously. But really, I'd like to get 7-star and be done with that. So that's the next push. So that's kind of the elf. The other team that I've been focusing on again is Haradrim. So we're getting close to 6-star. Wibate, we're almost there as well. So that's going to feel good when he's done being farmed in the store. Tebeb's obviously we know challenge shop. So that's just brutal and a long grind. So nothing we can really do there. Just kind of have to tough it out. Bekalu, again, I have a lot of promotes on my roster. I'm just stuck on how I want to spend that gold because you got to make the right decisions early. And I need the gold for ability upgrades. I need the gold for gear upgrades. As you can see, a lot of these characters I think I have more than enough resources to actually G8 like probably 2 or 3 of them, but it's 224,000, right? So it's quite the investment to go all the way up. I think I might wait on spending the resources on upgrading this team to G8 until I probably actually get Webate to 7 and then pump him to 7, pump Bekalu to 7, 5-star Tebeb, and then 6-star these guys. Then I think there's enough additional raw power added to their kits that G8ing them will actually see a significant value in the raids, because right now this team, we all know that they're very important to really like stack up before you see the value, you know, return on investment on these guys. And currently they're kind of shit, honestly, in the raids. They just take so much damage and die so quickly. And it's just because they're not strong enough, right? Like you can do, you know, difficulty 2 and get you know, obviously 300k or close to 300k in most times, but at this point in the game I'm really trying to push for chapter 3 because just trying to min-max and get a little bit more score, and they just get demolished in most of the chapters. They just take so much damage. So we're going to see a big update from Haradrim here in the next couple of weeks as we sort of get a lot of these guys dinging the 6 and 7-star, which would be great. And then the other big thing is Road to Rivendell. So this is where I'm sort of stuck in a hard, like, or what are they, rock in a hard place? What is, how you say it? I actually have all of them done. Like I can 7-star the whole squad and then go get Sam for free and have a full 7-star Road to Rivendell, which is a really good team. The problem is it's going to be 2.5 million gold, right? I think you still have to pay the gold to upgrade Sam. I don't think you just get Sam for 7 for free, if I recall. So I do have to upgrade this whole team to 7-star, which is 2.5 million alone. And then because if I already had a full 7-star Road to Rivendell, it's like, well, then maybe you put some investment into G7ing them, which is just another big investment. And then we're starting to really eat into the luminous crystals, which I need for my Rivendell. So a little bit tough there on like, do I drop the 2.5 million gold, which I don't even have. I have like 1.5 million, maybe a little more than that. So we're a little bit away from even being able to do the Sam event. I probably need another week or two, at least a week, if I wanted to spend all my gold and force, you know, 7-star the 4 of these guys. But yeah, you can see the biggest bottleneck I have right now in the game is just deciding my gold spend on what, right? Like we're trying to upgrade gear, we're trying to upgrade abilities, and then we're trying to figure out who to 7-star. And you can see from my account, from a 7-star perspective, we've got 4, 7, 11 characters that are ready to 7-star. Plus Sam will be number 12, right? Legolas is coming along. He's about a month out from probably being number 13, right? To be 7-starred. And it's a good problem to have. It's just, you know, gold is starting to become a problem. So he'll be 7. Gimli I'm working on now. So I mean, he'll be 7 in the next 2 weeks or so. So that's going to be another character. And then even outside of 7-stars, and we kind of talked about this in another video, like I've got a whole bunch of 5s about to become 6. So there's another huge investment. I'd like to 5-star Balin. I'm not really going to touch the dwarves outside of him or the goblins until we're pretty much Thorn ready. So they'll just kind of sit on the promote level for a bit. But, you know, we've just got a lot of characters that are kind of coming along, and the gold is starting to become a problem. I think even Grihor is like almost 5-star, which he's a really good character to even consider upgrading to at some point and kind of putting investment into. He's like, honestly, probably even better than Gauze in PvP. So feel he's gonna, you know, he's just a freebie now for me because I moved on from Strider. So there's a lot going on this account. It's kind of exciting, like where we're getting, but a lot of investment. But yeah, I would say from the light side, we're looking at Rivendell as a priority, and then we're looking at probably dwarves as priority number 2. So that would be specific to the light side on what I'm focusing on, because once we do get Thorn, I'd like to have a good squad. So I'm thinking 6 or 7 star Gimli, Balin at 5, Keely Philly at 5, Biffer's already 5, Bomber will be a focus at that point because he should be farmable by the time Thorn comes back. So we'll have a good plethora of dwarves that we can build out like some pretty cool squads. And then from the dark side or the shadow side, it's going to be most likely. So I mean, my Isengard squad is not bad. It's you know, I mean, I could certainly like max it out if I wanted to put the resources into them, but essentially there's 7, 6, and 5 star. I'm probably gonna hold off though. I'm just not like a huge believer in them. They're kind of like your free to play early team, and then I'm like, I don't really want to put any more value into them. Also, Dunhar being at 69, not that it's funny that it's 69, but like this just shows how many times like I bonus rolled this character, because like I don't think after I hit 6 I put anything into these characters, and like you can see that I've kind of dinged them. I mean, especially Dunhar a bunch of times. So I mean, hey, maybe we'll just passively get Dunhar through the bonus chest over time. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do Isengard. I think I'm just gonna kind of leave him hanging for a bit. I think from like a shadow side, honestly, I'm leaning towards obviously Haradrim, of course. And then I think the other team I might actually put resources into, surprisingly, is gonna be the Goblins. And watching like Night Hunter and the things he does with that team is like, it's just cool. Like their whole kit is just kind of a cool concept. So for me, pretty excited to build out the Goblins. And now that, you know, potentially Grey Goblin could be farmable, like if he is farmable, it's 100% gonna be my choice. If he's not farmable, secondary squad, probably just start building out a bunch of like one-off characters to like 5 star just to be prepared. So like probably Dunlin I'll work on next, and then maybe Mordor, and just kind of get everyone to like 4 star. That way if there's an announcement of like X character is being released as a legendary and you need to have Dunlin or Mordor or some weird team in order to be able to qualify for that character. So we'll see, but I'm thinking if Grey Goblin ends up becoming farmable, like they're going to be my shadow number 2 team. So it'll be pretty much Haradrim and Goblins, and then it'll be on the light side would be Rivendell and Dwarves, followed by probably Rotor Rivendell, just because they're already all pretty much 7 stars, so they'll be like last on the pecking order, but that'll be like my teams, right? That'd be like my 25-ish characters out, and then you have like the Rohan trio, which all for me right now could become you know, 7 star, so like I probably will work on them at some point just because they're good. They're a good Rohan trio. But yeah, you can see again just my teams again, 2 G8s, a handful of 60s, a lot of characters to upgrade. My roster's I think at 228,000 with only a 40,000 strongest. We're currently trying to still break our way into gold. I'm like right there, like the right lineup, the right team to play against. I can probably get gold. I almost did it actually this morning before recording this video. I was like, I ended up losing because they got my Elrond down, and then that kind of just, once Elrond's down, it's just kind of a wipe, right? Like you just can't heal your team, you can't res your team, and because I'm fighting like well above my weight in terms of total power, usually like high 40,000 teams where I'm at 40,000, it's difficult to win those games without Elrond kind of just, you know, you take out some of their strongest DPS to kind of wither them down early, then you kind of just take less damage because you're just not taking as much from like an Ugluk or an Eothane. You can kind of take those hits while you keep rebuilding your abilities and letting Elrond just heal with Arwen heal, with Elrond's res. Then you just kind of like end up with 5 versus 3, 5 versus 2, and you just sort of end up winning the game, unless they just are just so tanky that you can't beat them in the 5 minutes. But I usually try to like not fight the teams that I know I'm not going to win. So anyways, I'm almost in gold, so that'd be pretty cool, but I'm probably never going to be able to hold gold. It'd be like if I planned it and got on before my payout, I could probably get the gold payout, but then I'm like, is it the 19 gems worth like trying so hard to get back onto the game to do things like that? Like I don't really know. So the supply shop, I would recommend anyone just keep buying most if not all this stuff. So like all the crystals, I usually try to hover around like 100 to 150 on these guys just to have them in the pipeline in case I need them. For the purples, I usually just trying to get around 20 and just hover around 20 to have them in the pipeline. Spending like 15,000 a handful times a day is kind of a lot, and I'm trying to be again smart with my 1.5 million here because I have plenty to do with it. So probably not going to go out of my way to spend too much on those. And then the greens, I mean, they're cheap enough. I generally just buy them all outside of, what is it, the wood one or whatever, the one that everyone probably has like hundreds of, because they're not used on any character. Again, Webite is my focus here in the guild shop. I think they'll eventually add a character here soon too. Tabab is still my focus. Again, brutal farm. Legolas and Goldbergs are my focus. I think they'll add a character here because I think a lot of people who've been playing this since launch probably have Aemor done, possibly Shagra done, possibly Legolas done, or pretty close. So you really just like only have a character left to even look at. So that's something to consider. Not really ever, you know. In here, I generally will buy either crystals or probably the most bang for your buck is going to be all the way at the bottom, which is going to be your sorry, not sorcery, your illusion scrolls. So that's kind of what I'm doing in the game. Like I said, from the character perspective, I pretty much have finished everything. Not 297 for both, but like, you know, I mean, essentially just a couple like 2s in there that it's just not worth me going back to farm for 3 and just spend the energy on something that doesn't really give me much value. And then the guild, again, I'm farming Gimli with the intent of probably halving it between him and chapter 5 just for the resources, because I really need the rare ability materials, sitting at 68, which is, it's tough, and you only get a chance of 1 in chapter 2, and it's a low chance, whereas if you do chapter 5 you're just getting, you know, your 3 with a really high chance of getting the 3. I think if you push like a 5 sim, you probably get like 6, maybe even 9. So, you know, throughout the day you're getting like probably like 40 to 50 without any refreshes, so a lot more if you're refreshing, which I'm now too low. My gems are too low to refresh. I'm not going to buy another $20 pack. So today's kind of like the last day I could do any type of guild energy refreshes. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, the other thing I was going to kind of talk about was going to be my raid. So I've been tracking this, and shout out to Polaroid Puffin. He actually shared this with me, just like a simple spreadsheet, but it's pretty cool. It has a little bit of tables down here too to look at. So you can see since I've been tracking on December 18, my scores. So you can see that I kind of slacked a little bit last week, which is fair. I was pretty busy work related, so I didn't really have time to min-max my score. I kind of just ran it, and if it was close, I just said, yeah, we'll take the score. But you can see that when I did some serious upgrading to my team, like I actually was like, okay, I want to, you know, make sure my glyphs are right. I want to upgrade my glyphs. I want to upgrade some characters. I want to spend all that character XP I kind of mentioned in a previous video, do some real upgrades to my team. You can see I had some serious gains. Chapter 3 still is just kind of sitting around the same score for the last month. I probably just have to like try a little bit harder in this chapter because I think I can do better than 2 million. But you can see, you know, we were at like 1.3 and nearly doubled our score in the last 5 weeks. So that's really, really good to see. And even my score in general has gone up from 4.1 million to almost 6.7 million. I could probably hit 7 million if I tried a little bit harder in chapter 3. I think this is totally doable to get over 2 million. Chapter 4 is still a struggle, kind of just sitting around that, you know, 800k over the last, 3 weeks. So we got a little bit of ways to go there to really see a big increase in chapter 4. But chapter 1, big increases. Chapter 2, some big increases. Chapter 3, we saw some big early increases, but haven't really made a whole lot of progression since. So it's another chapter 3 or 4 2, I really have to put a little more effort in. Chapter 1 and 2, I think we're at a point where like most of the difficulty 3 grinds at this point are kind of like under control. I mean, we can always do better, but you know, if I can get 4.5 million out of chapter 1 and 2, get another 3 to 4 million out of chapter 3 and 4, that's going to push me over 7 million easily, almost to 8. That's huge. So I think as Haradrim comes along, we'll see a big score increase because they're just naturally good in raids. So in the next like month or so, I think we'll see some pretty big jumps in my my total raid scores. I think if we upgrade all of Road to Rivendell, we'll see some pretty decent upgrades in our raid scores. And then as the dwarves come along and the goblins come along, like we'll just naturally probably in the next like 3 months see 10 million type scores, which is going to be really exciting. But yeah, like I said, it's just cool to see from like a bar graph. Like you can see like a little bit of progression. Then we did a lot of cleanup and we saw a big jump. Then we kind of just plateaued because again, I didn't do a lot of min-maxing, you know, 2 weeks ago. And then this past raid run that we just did here, saw a little bit of a jump again, just because I try to min-max a little bit more and try to beat my score from the prior week. So slowly seeing increases. I mean, again, in a month, 5 weeks, we went from 4.1 to 6.7 million. I mean, that's really good. 2.5 million increase, so about 500,000 a week. I mean, that's solid, right? If we can continue a trend like that, it's probably gonna hard to hold true to it. But if we saw about 500,000 every week increase, that means in less than 2 months I'd be close to 10 million, which I don't think it's gonna happen. I think maybe we can get to 8 million in the next month and a half or so, but as we see those other characters built out, we'll certainly get there. And then yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I just figured it'd be fun to do like a video just sort of like going through my account, kind of where I'm at, what I'm focusing on, especially while we don't have much else to do. And we'll just kind of keep plugging along, right? That's all we can do as we wait for more information from the team and kind of what's next on the agenda in terms of modes or farmable characters or new marquees, etc., etc. So, you know, I mean, it is what it is. We just have to kind of wait it out. There's no way we don't hear something next week. I mean, that they just have to give us something. So we'll definitely hear something, I think, early into next week. So looking forward to it. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. And like I said, it's going to be like a comparison with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So I'm looking forward to kind of putting that video together and sending it out tomorrow. But thanks, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.